Yes, so I work for UN Habitat, and even as we work on sustainable mobility, we're looking at how we can achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, the new urban agenda, and the Paris Agreement when we're looking at mobility to facilitate mobility of people, of goods, and of services. So when we look at sustainable mobility, it's really about access. So access to safe, clean, and affordable transport for all. We promote non-motorized transport, and we promote also resource efficient and people-focused planning. So when we're looking at different modes of transportations, what we favor with regard to public transport is high capacity vehicles or means of transport. So this is mainly bus or rail, or when we look at bicycles, because it transports more people efficiently. So when we're looking at promoting public transport, we want to make it faster, safer, cheaper, more comfortable, so that we can see more individuals selecting to choose the option of public transport rather than using their own private vehicles. This is much better for the environment and also for the resources in the city. So this is the current situation in Kenya, which is very similar to very many emerging cities. There's a lot of traffic, it's car-centric, there's a lot of carbon emissions. Public transport is run mainly by private investors or entrepreneurs. There's very little government regulation managing the public transport. And then this is a situation of what happened when the government actually banned public transport vehicles from the central business district. You can see there is space for pedestrians, but there's no facilities for pedestrians on the roads. So people have to actually walk on the roads, which is obviously unsafe. And then now here you can see we also have limited NMT facilities. So this is what happened. More people had to now walk to their destinations because not that many people have vehicles. And this is, so we have a facility, but it cannot accommodate the demand. And then this is actually what happens now when everybody who has a vehicle can actually remove their vehicle. You can be assured in this traffic, most of the vehicles have 1 or 2 occupants and it's full of traffic. There's a lot of carbon emissions within this region. This is not what we want. We do not want a car-centered city. So there are alternatives. So for example, in Dar es Salaam, they have the bus rapid transit system. There's places where pedestrians can walk. There's dedicated lanes for the high capacity vehicles, and there is space for other vehicles to actually use. Average time moved from 2 hours to 45 minutes for transit. So this is where paratransit comes in, because we can definitely see that it meets the demand, and this demand that changes very quickly. It could be because of rain, it could be because of different issues, but paratransit always meets that demand. But one of the things when we talk about paratransit is that it's chaotic, it's difficult to regulate, it's difficult to manage. But I like this statement: in all chaos, there is a cosmos. In all order, there's a secret. In all disorder, there's a secret order. And this is really where technology comes in. So this is an example of a project that was done in Kenya where we were mapping out the routes of the paratransit vehicles. And you can see there is actually order in an area that seemed to have a lot of disorder. And then we go further, and from that mapping, we were able to determine the BRT service routes. So this is an example of how technology can be used to incorporate what is considered informal in planning and in decision making. So we also have this example from Kampala that was done by ITTP, where they were mapping the different mobility routes. And once again, you can see that what initially looks disorganized is actually very organized system that is functioning and meeting the needs and the demand. What we're seeing is that technology can be used in different ways to collect data, to map out data, and to see patterns or to see things that were not initially visible, because now we see patterns, we can actually plan around that. So another thing that has been happening when we look at paratransit is the influx of 2- and 3-wheelers in African cities and in secondary cities. And this offers an opportunity for employment, but it also offers an opportunity for planners and decision makers to plan around these new developments. One thing is because there's a great influx, there's more carbon emissions from these types of vehicles. One of the things as UN Habitat we're looking to do is we're encouraging more electrification of cars so that there is efficient fuel that is being used to reduce the carbon emissions. And here you can see two examples of entrepreneurs who are working around this and building around electric two-wheelers and electric three-wheelers. And then we also have very interesting bike share models that are coming up. And now because of internet technology, we also have car share. But I just want to talk about like emerging things, especially when we look at non-motorized transport. So one of my interests is how mobility as a service and different implementations, whether they be unimodal or multimodal, how it will look in Africa. And that's really my research, and that's really what I would like to see. So thank you. Thank you very much. And that's my Pecha Kucha session.
Thank you so much, Judith. I have one quick question.
Sure.
With the implementation of electric motorcycles and three-wheelers, how has the uptake been within African countries? Do you see that people or businessmen are very happy to move over to electric vehicles?
What we're seeing is there's actually a growing interest from businessmen, entrepreneurs, and even the people who ride the motor taxis or the boda-bodas. They're very interested in it. One, because it is going to reduce the cost of fuel, their daily cost of fuel. Because the different implementations we are seeing is people doing battery swapping. So it's going to be much cheaper in the long run. The only challenge is that the initial capital cost of actually acquiring these vehicles is pretty high. So what we're seeing entrepreneurs doing is coming up with interesting business models, from rent to hire, or working with financial institutions to enable these entrepreneurs to own these vehicles. Yeah.
Maybe you should have a little chat to one of our startup entrepreneurs that we spoke to a little bit earlier, One Motor, who's doing something very similar. And I think they're coming in with a very good cost price. Maybe it's a good link for you guys, and that's why we're doing the startups.
That's a very good link, and I'm very interested in following up on that, because one of the things we want to do is spotlight such kind of startups and link them to networks of e-mobility startups that are working on those innovations. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Judith. I really appreciate your time, and thank you for your presentation as well.
Thank you.